Hello everybody, my name is Sam. I make waifu and meta content, and I want to thank all of you for patiently waiting for this video because today we'll be taking a look at Eula plus Shenhe in the same team. We'll be looking at physical Eula with Shenhe and comparing her to C6 Rosaria to see if it's even worth it or not. We will also look at how Cryo Eula works with Shenhe as well, but before we get into it, I want to ask that if you enjoy my content, the best free way to support me is by liking, subscribing in order to boost up the video for the YouTube algorithm. Follow me on Twitch if you enjoy live content, and without further ado, let's get into the video. So I want to talk about physical Eula first and compare C0 Shenhe to like a C6 Rosaria. Because of course, if your Rosaria is like less than C2, then there's no really point in putting a Rosaria. Then for sure the clear choice is Shenhe. But I'm going to be comparing C6 because the physical resistance shred is too good for Eula. So in this current team, Raiden is our superconduct friend. She's also a battery for Eula because her energy cost is like 80. Diona is also helping us with some energy battering because Shenhe, especially at C0, she's not that good of a battery. And let's see what else Shenhe provides for us. First of all, Eula can take advantage of both instances of Spirit Communion Seal. If you want just a little bit of extra damage for Eula's burst, you're probably going to press Shenhe's elemental skill right before you start Eula's combo. But if you care more about your normal attacks, then you're going to hold it. And it's gonna last longer at least. And this is good because when you're doing Eula's burst, you're gonna be normal attacking like crazy so that we can build up your stacks for your Lightfall Sword. Also, the other thing you want to set up with Shenhe is her elemental burst because you're going to decrease the physical and cryo resistance of the enemies by whatever percentage is based on your skill. Just keep in mind that the duration is only 12 seconds. And it does have a big energy cost of 80. So this is where Diona comes in to kind of help battery both characters. And you already know about our Icy Quills, especially if you paid attention to my guide that I made last time. Link will be there in the description. The only way Icy Quill is going to help Eula is only whenever she does her combo going into her burst. For example, we do a press elemental skill, we go into our burst will reset the cooldown and add a stack of Grimheart, and the burst will do 491 skill damage. And then when we hold our elemental skill, we're going to do some significant amount of damage. So all of these hits are going to be infused with Icy Quill, and there's multiple enemies. The good thing is you're able to use up all your Icy Quills with just this little rotation by itself, and then you just keep doing your Eula things, and it's pretty good. So now let's look at Rosaria. C6 Rosaria is a really good team member for Eula because she increases our crit rate. So I don't know if it's just on purpose, but I swear Eula is one of the most unluckiest characters you can crit with, especially with her Lightfall Sword. So that extra crit rate that we're able to get with Rosaria, it's really helpful for Eula to be consistent. And then on the other hand, we got the physical resistance shred by 20%. Now, what are the pros and cons? First of all, in order for you to get physical resistance shred from Shenhe, you have to invest in her freaking elemental burst. The cap is 15% resistance shred, but it's only if you crowned it the talent. Whereas Eula, if you really didn't want to, you don't have to invest in her elemental burst. And what I mean by that is you don't have to like level it up in order for you to get the extra crit rate or to get the physical resistance because it just comes along with it. Now, maybe the only thing you have to invest in is your primo gems or your freaking wallet, but if you're limited to resources, you don't really have to commit that much. Whereas Shenhe with her elemental burst, you kind of do. Shenhe is also a freaking 5-star character. But you know what? Sometimes it's easier to get a 5-star character than it is a C6 4-star character, especially if you're unlucky. But maybe you've been playing the game for a while and you do have your C6 Rosaria. Let's just go ahead and kind of take a look at all together what we have. C6 Rosaria. Crit rate and 20% physical resistance shred. And she also has an energy cost of 60. So that means more consistent uptime with her burst, and she can be somewhat of a battery, especially with the Favonius Lance. So at C6 Rosaria, plus 4 more seconds from her C2, so her burst is going to last 12 seconds. But the physical resistance shred will last for 10 seconds after the last hit of her elemental burst. Shenhe, on the other hand, especially at C0, you're only going to have 12 seconds of that physical resistance shred. High energy cost burst, only 15% physical resistance shred if you invest in it all the way, and a 15% damage bonus to either your normal attacks or your burst depending on what you want. And so that's pretty much it with physical Eula. I'm not going to talk more about this team because honestly, Shenhe and C6 Rosaria for physical Eula team kind of feels more or less the same. So if I'm being honest, if you already have C6 Rosaria and you're thinking about pulling Shenhe only for your Eula, I highly suggest you save your primos for a different character. Also, I already made a guide on this team more or less that's on my Eula plus Raiden video. So if you want more content on that or more information, you can go ahead and click that if you want. And if you do not have Raiden for this team, unfortunately, you're gonna have to sacrifice some damage on your Eula in order to pump her with more energy recharge so that way you can get Eula's burst up consistently. But now let's go ahead and shift our focus to how Cryo Eula and Shenhe work together. So for this team, the build I went for is Wolf's Gravestone with Eula. It's only to boost the attack of my whole team by 12 seconds. If you don't have the Wolf's Gravestone, it's fine. Just use the best Claymore that you have for her burst or her elemental skill, whatever is going to give her the most damage. And the build I'm using is 2-piece Blizzard, 2-piece Shimanoa because it is a Cryo Eula. For Shenhe, we have like a hybrid build of Blizzard and Emblem. 3000 attack, 55 crit rate, 117 crit damage, and 145 energy recharge. Since it's a crowd team, we really don't need that much energy recharge, but we still need her burst to be up consistently. And the main focus is around her elemental skill talent, so we can get the most Icy Quill buff to our team. Diona is our noblest person for the team. The more we get her burst up, the more we're able to have our noblest buff. Sacrificial Bowl, so we can get more cryo particles because the cryo particles benefit the whole team. And for Rosaria, we're focusing on the Emblem Seared Fate because we mainly want a lot of damage into her burst so that we can proc Icy Quills with her burst as much as possible with the most amount of damage bonus. And I have a promoted Jade Spear for her. The main focus revolves around the combo of doing Eula's elemental burst but letting go early, because after we hold our elemental skill, we consume our Grim Hearts and we're able to lower the crowd resistance of our enemies by 25%, but only for 7 seconds. So hopefully before that you have activated Divine Maiden's Deliverance from Shenhe, so their crowd resistance is already decreased by like 14% at least. Plus the 25% here, it equals to like 39-40% crowd resistance decrease. That's the equivalent of someone with the Viridescent Veneer on your team. And since you're also lowering the physical resistance as well, you get some bonus damage from her Lightfall Sword. And the physical resistance shred decrease is the equivalent of almost like a superconduct on your team. So these 7 seconds you want to take advantage of as much as possible with like Diona's elemental skill and Rosaria's elemental skill and burst. And of course all those attacks being procced by Icy Quill. That's basically the objective of this team. Just do as much Icy Quill damage as possible, and then once again take advantage of those 7 seconds of the resistance decrease. Eula and Shenhe are the damage dealers, Diona's the battery, Rosaria is the battery, and she's also support, giving everybody a 15% increase in our crit rate. And that's how I would use Cryo Eula with Shenhe. Some of you are probably thinking like, why not just use, you know, Changyung or something? Well, to me, I found it kind of boring. Well, not boring. We weren't able to take advantage of Shenhe's Icy Quills for the whole team if we're just on the field with Eula, normal attacking with her, because that's going to take time off of everyone else using their elemental skills or their elemental bursts. So this is why I prefer this team. Even though we're only using her elemental skill and her elemental burst, it's still going to provide some good damage because we really don't need Eula to be on the field that much, because the main focus is, like I said, is the whole team, not just Eula. So this is kind of a quick swap team. If you're into that, if you don't think quick swapping and just doing everything is fun, then you can just use a different team. So you may have noticed that the Spiral Abyss footage that was in the background was from last Spiral Abyss. And because of the Abyss buff that basically promoted mono teams like mono cryo, I wasn't really convinced if this team was good. But I went ahead and tried it on a new Spiral Abyss that has more HP and might be a little bit harder. So let's go ahead and jump into that footage. Now I'm going to commentate over it so I can tell you what I was thinking or the mistakes or the hindsights that I saw after. So right here my mentality was to start off with Shenhe's elemental skill so that we can snapshot with her burst, that 15% extra damage bonus, and then give everyone their Icy Quill stacks and just do our combo that we've been talking about. Pretty straightforward. I wish I didn't have C6 because I would want to show you guys like the potential of this team without C6, because I know there's already going to be people in the comments like, oh, nice C6, freaking Eula. Wish I had it. But the main focus is around the cryo, not the physical. So I guess I do kind of regret getting C6 Eula, but she's too waifu not to get freaking C6. So I'm sorry about that. But anyways, pretty easy chamber. The only thing that sucks is the freaking taking down this guy's shield. Since he is pyro, it's kind of hard to just do cryo stuff on it, but the main stuff that was like taking down that thing was Rosaria's elemental skill and Eula's elemental skills, because those were, I guess, the heavy hitters with the cryo reactions. So let me just fast forward this until the chamber's done. Okay, so for the second chamber, pretty easy. I kind of waited to do the combo until they were grouped up so that I can, like, you know, take advantage of Eula's elemental burst. And I probably should have done it there, but I just committed to the wrong type of burst and elemental skills. So now I had to wait again for them to group up. Once we were able to set it up, it's pretty straightforward. Unfortunately, Eula's Lightfall Sword like took him down. But once we had him in a corner and we had everyone's elemental burst doing AoE, cryo application, they're pretty much done for. Really easy chamber with this team because they're hydro. For our last chamber, Mago Kenki, I did not have anyone's elemental burst up, so we were just spamming everyone's elemental skills so that way they can get them up. And here I was thinking, wait, what if I switched it up a bit? Since Shenhe's burst snapshots, I was thinking maybe if we do Rosaria's burst, we can snapshot that extra crit rate to our Shenhe, so that way she has more of a chance to proc her icy quills with a critical hit. And it worked out pretty well, so it's really up to you how you really want to start your rotations. And we didn't even have Eula's burst here, so it's kind of hard to get some momentum going. Like if I wanted to, I could have just made this video edited and gone into this chamber without my burst up, but I kind of want to show a situation where you don't have your burst up, like a realistic Spiral Abyss run. But once we got everyone's burst up and got a good rotation going on, it was pretty much straightforward from here.
Judgment! Beg for mercy! Unleash! Shudder! Vengeance will be mine! Eye for an eye! Manifest! By ordinance divine! Rack and ruin! Unleash!
And once again, I want to thank you all for patiently waiting for this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell in order to boost up this video, especially if you enjoyed it. I might make one last Shenhe video before her banner ends, but after that, we're moving on to the next waifu, which is Ganyu. I will work on an updated guide and maybe even like a Morgana Freeze team type of guide for all my future Ganyu havers because that team is really good. Anyways, I love you all so much, and remember, waifu over meta, and I'll see you all in the next video.